Hello, I am Bentham, and welcome back to Factorio Railworld, where in the previous episode we were in Mangledpork 1, trying to upgrade it and get it working a little bit better before we came back home to check how it was going and resupply. So, in today's episode we will actually finally return to the midpoint. I can promise that, after so long being home sorting out all the 0.12 stuff and things like that and getting sidetracked and not getting back to work out there. We need to go and build more stuff and get on with continuing the railway and trying to actually get it going all the way around the lake now that the biters are so much more difficult to deal with. Anyway, we're down at the mega train checking up on its situation, and we want to add something in, though I do get distracted slightly when there is a horrific power failure as soon as the sun sets. It keeps getting worse every time as far as I can tell, and we're gonna try and add more and try and fix it again. Once we're gone, things should calm down and the factory should be able to run a little bit better, because there won't be so many bots flying around trying to help me and stuff. So anyway, what I've done is I've added on a cargo wagon to the front of the mega train, and then I've got 10 stacks of concrete and dumped it in said cargo wagon, which will be our sort of temporary concrete transport, because we need more of it. I tried to do some concreting over in Mangledpork 1, and we barely got one wall covered, which shows me that we need many thousands of squares of concrete to be able to cover somewhere like the midpoint. So we're going to take a bunch with us and see how far that can go. That can get us, and we're going to do that by adding in an extra cargo wagon for a while, as well as the 5 stacks that we're already storing towards the back. So in the factory, I'm finding that actually the work on plastic seems to be having an effect. Processing units have built up for the modules, and advanced circuits are starting to build up on the end of the processing unit line, which suggests that soon things will start building up everywhere else, and we may have finally got enough plastic being produced for that to all work. So anyway, to tackle the power problem, we're going to add in a bunch more solar panels. I've got 104 of them on me, which amounts to a number of squares. I don't know. Divide it by 8, what is it? Is it 12? No, it's 13? I think it's 13 squares, off the top of my head. Anyway, having to clear away a couple of trees using our personal bots, and having them build the rest of it. I've only needed one so far. One has been fine, though for some certain larger builds you may need to add in a couple extra just so that you can reach things. With the solar panels and the accumulators, it's worked out really well, and they are, like, when I stand on the edge of them, they're all just within range. It works out quite well. So I've also got 2 squares of accumulators to add in. Unfortunately, we've sort of run out of space at this point, and I fixed this by actually getting rid of some of the solar panels here, because this was once like where all of the power came from back in the day, and it's got to the point now where it's accumulators alone, or it will be very soon. We can move the solar panels somewhere else, specifically to our giant solar field that is slowly growing like some sort of amorphous blob over the landscape and taking over a lot of it. At some point we're going to reach the apple, which we never did anything with. I always intended to like put some decoration around that and make it look nice. There's still time, I guess. We can put some flooring in, not on it, but sort of around it. I don't know, like a viewing thing. We can wall it off so no one can get in and interfere with it, and then viewing areas. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, checking up on the power situation now. We've added in the extra power stuff, and it's looking better. The highest consumer of power is the accumulators. That wasn't the case before. It was sort of going on and off depending on how the other things were sort of oscillating. So it's a good sign that it's the biggest user of power. Though if you look at what is using power, well, you missed it now. I guess you can go back, but the usage has changed a lot from what it used to be. It always used to be like furnaces and miners at the top, I think, and assemblers and things like that. But now I think the top thing is actually chemical plants. I think that's what it is. And refineries and pump jacks are up there as well. And of course that is because I have filled them full of ridiculous amounts of modules and basically broken everything. That's why we're having all these power issues. Back in the day, well, if we just put if we put efficiency modules in all of it, then the power production that we've got right now would be more than enough to keep the system running. Anyway, we're going to deal with some biters. This is something that I sort of forgot to do before when I set off to Mangledpork 1 with the intention of carrying on to the midpoint. I forgot to deal with a lot of the biters because we were running around and sort of cutting back all the biter bases that had been growing out for a while, and we had to call it off and abort because we ran out of destroyer drones. and then I just left it. I completely forgot. So today we're going to finish it. We're going to go around the south and deal with all the biter bases that I think are a little bit too close for comfort. So that it should take a good long while for any biters to get into range to threaten the main base. There'll probably still be attacks on like Iron Outpost 2 and things like that, because that outpost can fend for itself. That's fine. It's surrounded by walls and a bunch of guns, and that's okay. But the main base is so big and sprawling that it would be extremely difficult to properly fortify it, and so it is more open to attack. And we do need to watch out for that. I also need to put in some more turrets around the place. Try and establish some sort of perimeter, because otherwise it's just an accident, not a disaster waiting to happen, really, when the biters finally do turn up. And I think that they could very easily arrive in the wrong place and just tear apart hours and hours of work if they set their mind to it. And we don't want that. We definitely don't want that. It could take us like a full 5 minutes to get to them, because we're in the midpoint or whatever, and we have to take the train all the way back, run over there. And you know, that's a very long time. Biters could do a lot in that sort of time frame. Anyway, we're dealing with them fairly decently. We pretty much every base gets us down to half health or worse. Well, half shields, I guess. And that is a concern, but we're doing all right. I never get to a point where I'm like, I need to get out of here and not come back for a long while. There are a few times where I sort of have to fall back a bit, but I usually run back in fairly quickly. And I don't really have to take any breaks between the attacks beyond the actual travelling from one to the other, so that's fine. As long as I keep a good army of about 60 bots handy, they seem to be enough to deal with all these sort of sizes of bases. Though I am not looking forward to the bigger bases that we have further out in the wilderness around the lake. Anyway, we're making our way up to Iron Outpost 2, seeing as there have been a few bases that have come back in and filled in the area again. It's been a little bit since we did the attack, because I think last episode we didn't do it. It was the episode before, so they've had a bit of time to run back in and recolonize. So I'm having to run back up and deal with the odd base on the way up to Iron Outpost 2, and that gives us the perfect opportunity to check up on what Iron Outpost 2 is doing at the moment, because I notice Iron Outpost 1 is currently, well, it's already running at full speed now. We could compress the miners in, but there's no point in that. So Iron Outpost 2 will probably need to start taking the weight a bit more, sooner rather than later, so we need to make sure it's well equipped for that. So on our way in, we find that my personal robots do a bit of repairing. Also, power failures, of course, affect here just as much as they affect the main base, because it's all connected to the same power network. I wonder if I should change it around a bit. I think ultimately it's probably better for it to be on the same power network, because it means during the day it has access to huge amounts of power, whereas otherwise it's not. And it means that it will be difficult for the biters to knock the power out. They need to take out two different lines of power poles before they can manage that. We do have a logistics system set up here, but it doesn't quite reach all of the miners, which is why I still had to repair some myself. But it reaches all the important ones, and there shouldn't be any attacks coming from going against the south wall now, because we've got rid of the biter bases that were sort of to the south of it. There may still be some that sort of hook round, or some that come from fairly south anyway, because it is the nearest outpost, even if it's not quite in the line to the main base. They don't always want to go for that. They just want to go for the nearest source of pollution, and there is a decently sized pollution cloud coming out from this, but biter bases could get near enough to start being bothered by it, though we're probably expecting more to have trouble with colonizing biters coming along and being annoying. So we've added in a new row of miners, because there were a few run out. I think there was 9 run out around the place, so we've added in a new row, which is it's more than compensated for that, and we can probably leave it for a while and expect it to serve the base well. And I do a quick check of the map just before I set off home, and I find that the biters have already moved back into one of the places that I just got rid of. So I take the train down to the base. This one's going to Iron 1, but we're going to hop out on our way there. We managed to not get hit by the train as we step out of it. Won't be too much of a problem because we do have the shields, but it is always a worry. I think if I take a full force hit from a train that I'm running head on at, it can still kill me, because I think I may have done that once in a different save. But anyway, we'll deal with this base. You can see it's actually built on top of the non-faded ruins of the previous base. It is still there, and they've settled there anyway. So hopefully that'll discourage them a bit. I mean, considering how little time it took for that base to be rebuilt. It may not be long before I have to just go around again. Maybe I should look into cutting them back further or building more defenses. I should probably start arming and armoring the radar outpost more, because I know the ones around there haven't been, because I didn't feel like it was necessary at the time, but of course that was back when behemoth biters weren't a thing. Anyway, over in the circuit outpost, I'm taking no chances, and I'm going to add in a bunch more defenses. It's already fairly well defended. There's a good line of turrets, but I'm getting quite jumpy about it and quite worried, considering that I'm about to leave for potentially a good long while. So I'm making sure to put in a bunch of extra turrets to basically, overkill is better than underkill, I guess, is what I'm doing here. And I've also added in a few along the rail line, just as a sort of perimeter along the south. Our defences of the main base are still lacking. The only turrets that are here really are ones that I built a long time ago. Some of them still have standard ammo in them. And the further away you go from like the smelting, the less defences there are, because I've just not bothered building them, because it's been so safe in the past. But with the pollution cloud from the oil rapidly expanding, you can see that it's not good. It's covering the entire base. I mean, it was doing that anyway, and it's joining up with the circuit outpost. And it may continue to advance outwards. We need to keep an eye on it, because if it ever reaches the biters, they'll start sending in regular attacks, and we are not built for regular attacks here. There are no walls. We need walls for that sort of thing. Anyway, I decided to release a few more bots into the air. It seems like logistics could be working a little bit faster, or maybe it's just me. I mean, apparently there are 400 bots in the system, which seemed a bit weird because it didn't look like there were that many doing stuff. But I've added in another 100 anyway, because overkill's better than underkill. And I also added in another 50 construction bots because I felt like they were being a bit left out. There's only 100 of them. So there's 150 of those now, and 500 logistics bots. Also, I just went and put in a bunch more concrete into our new concrete wagon. So we've now got a full 30 stacks of it, as well as the 5 that we already have in one of the more rearward cargo wagons. Not sure how much that'll give us. We'll find out when we get to the midpoint, and see how much we can actually get floored with it. I'm continuing to add in some turrets along the railway, because whenever I think about like all those biters that keep coming in the south, I always think about them running into the middle of the smeltery and just wrecking it, because there's no defences here. So I'm lining it all with turrets, as well as running some along the railway. It seems like a good idea. Railway acts as a sort of line, I guess. It can. Well, the good thing about it is that it's got power running along it, so I can dot laser turrets along it and put a couple of non-laser ones if I feel like I need to in the gaps and stuff. So back to base to get resupplied, because we just used up all our ammo loading up all those guns. Fortunately, it takes a while for this to happen, because we have enough stored up to resupply me once, but I'd already been resupplied a minute earlier, and then I'd gone and used up a bunch of ammo again. But we managed to get back up to the 200 that we like to keep handy, and I think we're good there. I think we're pretty much ready to set off to the midpoint. We've done everything we want to do. We dealt with the biters. We've worked on the power problem. We've not fixed it, but it seems like it's never going to be fixed, and I can't be bothered putting in that many solar panels. And I feel like they shouldn't be necessary. But anyway, here we go. We'll set off, and we're going to stop off at Mega Copper just to see how it's been faring since my last visit, because things will have sort of evened out now. Stuff will have had a chance to build up, so we can get a better idea of what effect our modifications actually had on the loading system. Lots of trains running past as we go. It's good to see this line so busy, because there are quite a few trains with jobs. There's a coal train, a stone train, multiple copper trains, 5 of them in total, but one of them doesn't run along this section of the line. It only goes between Mega Copper and the midpoint. But we've parked up and we can check on the way it's loading. Interestingly enough, the Mega train actually doesn't park as I expected it. It treats the new cargo wagon as the front of the train. What I was expecting was for it to line up the first engine with the stations. I actually thought that was how it works, so they never really have front-loading trains. I always have the cargo wagons behind. So that does mean things will be a little bit fiddly when we arrive in the midpoint, because things won't line up quite right. But I think everything is set up with like smart inserters and like provider and requester chests, so I don't think anything will go horribly wrong. Anyway, checking how it's loading, it's doing pretty well. All the trains except one get fully loaded before they leave. That last one doesn't quite get loaded. There's only like 3 3 stacks left to put in it though, so that's fairly good. And the reason for that is that they all arrive at once, and there are limits to how fast the loading system can run. And I think I'm already at them. The triple belt is full most of the time. When the trains are actually being loaded and all the inserters are loading at once, it does start to empty out, as you can see. We've added in 1 extra mining drill because it ran out and we just shifted it along. And I also put in a bit of a belt balancer to help with keeping things balanced, because I noticed that only one side was starting to run down there. So we'll try and keep that even in case that could cause any problems. But we're not going to spend any more time messing about. We did all that in the previous episode, and I know everyone wants to see me go back to the midpoint and carry on work there. Well, I imagine everyone does. I do, really. I haven't been there in ages. I haven't been there since before 0.12, because as soon as 0.12 happened, I hopped on a train and came home. And we haven't been there since. So off we go, pushing our concrete train in front of us. I was trying to think of a way to fix it, put it at the back instead, because that seems like a better option. But that would require manoeuvring, and this is a train with 10 cargo wagons, and I do not want to try manoeuvring that around on a line where there are trains trying to run along and blocking up all of the spaces as I'm trying to move around. I tried that once before just to make a new station for the mega train, and that caused enough disruption as it is. So we'll make our way back. It's a nice relaxing journey. We can take in the scenery and enjoy it. And then finally we arrive. Home sweet, well, not home sweet home. What am I talking about? Other home, sweet other home? I don't know. It's good to be back anyway. It's good to see the outpost again. And it's not had a single attack since we left, which is nice. So we'll unload this concrete cargo wagon, try and do it quickly so we can get the train in the right position. Things mess up slightly because some coal gets loaded into the cargo wagon as I'm trying to empty it because it was meant for the train. But we fix it, move the train up and get rid of the cargo wagon. And we now have a chest with 30 concrete here. So the first thing I noticed when I arrived is that there aren't as many lights around as I was expecting. You do sort of miss it with having the night vision goggles on, but for some reason it became very obvious for me as soon as I arrived. So I quickly run around, just dotting the place with lights wherever I think it might be needed. Probably more than it is needed, really. But it means that if for whatever reason I'm not using my my night vision goggles, I should be able to still see what's going on. So checking on the power system, I find it's been fantastic. Everything's been basically off while I've been gone, so it's just been a case of keeping things maintained, keeping things that have idling power usage running, and it's all been good. A little bit of, well, I guess not even unloading really. The only thing that will have really been operating was the occasional loading of coal back into trains that have used it up on the way there. Really, it's been fairly wasteful because the trains haven't actually been delivering anything because everything's been full up. But anyway, we'll have plenty of materials handy to work with, seeing as it's all built up and been fully, I don't know what I was going to say. I was just going to say built up again. So what we'll do is try putting all of the concrete in. See how far we can go with it, but I'm already expecting that we're going to run out very quickly because with that we've just used up 20 stacks already. We only have 15 left. So I just try like running along the walls, getting an area to fill in, getting a boundary, and there goes another 10. And we only have the 5 stacks left that are in the rear cargo wagon now, so we'll do what we can, but it runs out very quickly, and we've barely even got any of our actual production covered yet. So clearly we need a bunch more concrete. So I stopped looking for a stone supply nearby, but there's a little one not too far away, and apart from that, the only sort of large one we can get is right back where, like near Mega Copper 1 in the mushroom ore, as people have named it. I didn't realise what it looked like at the time, but it does look like a mushroom. It's got a sort of stone stalk, and the head's made of copper, which is quite nice. But anyway, we do have a stone train delivering. So at the end of the day, we can just get the stone from there, and we can make the concrete on site. I could have shipped the concrete in. That would make as much sense, really. But I guess shipping in stone specifically means it's more versatile. There's more things you can do with it. Including making rails, which is one of the most important roles of this of the midpoint. And by the way, that autosave that you just saw marks 70 hours of Railworld. That's how far we've got with this. Quite a momentous occasion, I guess. I don't think I noticed when it was 60, but I think I mentioned when it was 50. But yeah, this is and continues to be the longest actual game of Factorio I've done, because usually when I get to the end of the game, I finish. And this is the only one where I've gone, no, forget it, I'm carrying on, it's too awesome. But anyway, we're going to set up the concrete stuff. We've got an assembler. We've got the water running into it. We put it by the iron smelting so we can quickly send the ore in without too much difficulty. We'll get that all connected up. We'll dump a bit of stone that we have handy into it so we can get it running as soon as possible, so we can try and get things fully floored as soon as possible. And we'll sort out the chests for storage and transport of the stone bricks and things that we need to smelt there. Once we get that all sorted, set up, I consider putting a limit on the concrete chest, but I'm like, actually no, just have it make as much as it wants. I also go grab some stone from the mega train, and I realise it's actually being resupplied, and we do actually already have stone bricks being made, but whatever, we'll just make them again, it doesn't really matter. So there we go, we've got concrete being made, and we'll see about doing more with that in future, but I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.